Chemical photography was first developed in the 1820s by pioneers like Louis Daguerre in France and William Talbot in England. But it was the development of roll film by George Eastman in the US to replace glass plates, along with his Kodak camera in the 1880s, that enabled the growth of the mass market for photography and for film. In the next century, almost nothing happened to the basic technology of film. Incremental developments included moving pictures, colour and the Polaroid camera. A vast business servicing film and filming grew, in which Kodak, Agfa and Fuji Film were exemplars. The Fuji Photo Film Company Limited was set up by the Japanese government in 1934 to establish domestic photographic film manufacturing industry. Through acquisitions and joint ventures, it moved worldwide from the 1950s and became a global player in this mature industry. By 1990, it was estimated that there were over 1 trillion photographic images in the world. The future seemed bright for all major players. But the digital revolution was on the way. From the first digital video in the 1950s to NASA mapping the moon digitally in the 1960s to spy satellites of the 70s, the technology was developing. The first commercial digital camera was Sony's Mavic, produced in 1981, but it was the breakthrough to 2 megapixel levels of resolutions 2 decades later that meant that the images were now as good as those from a single lens reflex camera. The world of photography changed forever. For film manufacturers, digital technology was a massive threat. There was no need for film anymore. The big players reacted very differently. Fujifilm embraced digital technology, spending billions developing digital cameras, sensors and memory cards. It became a truly digital company, diversifying into other imaging sectors. Agfa, the third largest traditional film manufacturer, did much worse. By 2004, the assets had been sold and its consumer imaging businesses filed for bankruptcy in 2005. Meanwhile, Kodak was hesitant to move towards a less profitable digital business. They moved traditional film into new geographies. In the digital space, they focused on printing services and entry-level cameras. When it became clear that digital photography was indeed going to replace film, Fuji was a diversified company fit for the future, while Kodak lacked the skills to compete in this new environment. Profit margins declined. However, Fuji grew revenues significantly throughout the period, while Kodak's revenues plunged.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all on this gorgeous sunny day in Rochester, New York, to this very unique moment in Kodak's history.
How did Fuji do it? By continuous innovation, research efficiency, and particularly by leadership. The CEO, Anishi Minoru, had been a convert to digital since the early 1980s and personally led the company in that direction. In 1984, when Sony brought out its first digital camera, Anishi invested significantly in building the company's electronic imaging division. He spotted the upcoming disruption, creating a sense of urgency for the company and set clear objectives for all. He systematically reallocated R&D investment into digital cameras and imaging technologies. Thanks to his vision and actions, Fujifilm built the capabilities needed to respond to the emerging challenge. They demonstrated strategic agility. Fuji made the bet on digital and thrived, and portfolio agility, shifting resources into the digital business, including medical imaging, quickly and efficiently. In terms of the constituent elements of the strategic agility, Fuji scores highly on all 3 elements. Minoru and the company had high strategic sensitivity to the digital future. They had a strong and consistent collective commitment to the vision and to the actions that they took. Those showed that they had resource fluidity, reconfiguring their systems and redeploying their resources to maximum effect. Fuji thrived while Kodak struggled and Agfa died. So what can we learn from Fuji and the digital revolution? The single most important insight is the importance of vision and acting on that vision. Anishi Minoru provided the vision and the company followed his lead. Fuji was a film company. The disruption could have wiped it out like Agfa. Instead, the potential for growth and development was identified early and acted upon early. In business terms, the firm's strategic agility was the difference between life and death.